All right, Allison, what's good? Thank you for being here on the podcast. We're going to start this thing with three questions. You don't know where I'm coming from, what I'm going to say, but I want your honest answer. Cool?
Yes.
All right. So, as a communications expert, who taught you how to effectively communicate?
Oh my gosh. That is a really hard question. Who taught me how to communicate? Oh my goodness.
One person. I know that there's probably been multiple people, but someone that you can think of that said, you know what, I learned a lot from this person on how to talk to people.
That's so interesting. Okay, so I'm going to answer it this way. So I think that, well, first of all, I feel like I'm a natural extrovert,
Okay.
but it really is confidence. And so I'm going to give my dad credit.
Okay,
So
cool.
I will say I'm an only child, and I do have slightly helicopter parents. But my dad was always really good at being like, in other words, sending that message of like, don't let the haters get you down type thing, right? Like you do your thing,
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter what people say. Like,
Yeah.
so I really think that really played into my confidence
Okay.
of being like, I'm going to go after it,
Yeah.
And so I think that puts you in a good headspace
Mhm.
of like, you're confident, you're like, I'm going to do, and if I mess up, it's okay.
Yep.
It's a risk worth taking.
Yep.
So I think that, I think about that a lot because now that I have my own kids, it's something that I work on reflecting on them and being like, you can do it all, because my dad was good with that with me.
Okay.
I think that really helped me.
Okay. That's what's up. Shout out to Pops. Thank you for holding that down. Next question. As someone who works with personal brands, describe your personal brand in one word or phrase.
Spunky.
Spunky. I like it. And last one, we'll play this game. One gotta go. So I'm going to give you three choices and you got to get one up out of here. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
This is hard.
So we're going to focus on ways to communicate. Phone call, text message, or an email. One's got to go.
I think it would be email.
Okay. Email. Why?
It's just clunky,
Mhm.
and sometimes your Wi-Fi goes out.
Sure.
So a phone call, I'm so old school. You know what I mean? Sometimes just like, again, you could spend 3 hours trying to figure out like an email chain. We're like, or you could just pick up the phone and be like, hey, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, that thing we just spent an hour working on, we're just going to kill that and we have a new idea. Bye. Okay, great. That took 2 minutes, right? Where
Yep.
in an email, you're like, oh, how do I politely say that we're not going to do this project? And this person could be mad. And then your brain just,
Mhm.
So email can just get a little clunky sometimes.
Yes.
Text message is just so easy. In fact, I have a hard time sometimes because sometimes our clients prefer to communicate via text message.
Mm.
So, and sometimes I just get very like, I don't like to do business over text message,
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just people's comfort levels and people are on the go.
Yeah.
And sometimes a text is really just like, and people will tell you, if you want to reach me, just text me. It's easier,
Mhm. Yeah.
Because they don't have time to look at their hundreds of emails in your inbox. It's just your information is going to get lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would let email go.
Okay. Okay. Most people will let email go. I'm checking the deuces the email too. So I feel you on that. So Allison, thank you for answering these questions. You did an amazing job. And you know what? It's time to get into it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Financial Seeds Podcast, where we believe that financial freedom is built one conversation at a time. I'm your host, JimDre Westbrook, and every week we are here to empower families to go from striving to thriving by having smart, practical money talks. Financial literacy is one of those subjects where we're always talking about money. You talk about debit and credit scores and budgeting and investing. These are topics everyone thinks about when you talk about financial literacy. But there's one in particular that a lot of people forget to talk about, and that is communication, right? Financial literacy is essentially this language. You must learn it, you must become fluent in it. And before we start talking about the money, there is a message behind communication. Communication is key. You always hear people say that. And today we have a communication expert we're going to holler at so she can help us walk through how to establish your voice. Because as you always hear us say, you matter. And we want to make sure that your voice, the story that you tell about yourself as it pertains to your money, you can speak that fluently. So again, I have somebody, is a friend, is a businesswoman, is a hustler who's sitting right next to me. I have no other than Allison Monette Cordova, and she is the founder and CEO of Cordova Creative. Allison, how are you doing today?
Hi, JimDre. Are you going to edit that with like claps, like fake claps and like fireworks? Yeah, take notes over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, we got you. So, thank you for coming to the pod. We really, really appreciate, just who you are in the community, what you stand for. And, I know that stuff, but please tell our viewers, our guests, who you are, what you do, and what you're all about when it comes to communication.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Gosh, well, I'm Allison. I've lived in Vegas for 26 years, so almost a native, I suppose, but I'm originally from South America. I grew up in Peru, in Lima. So bilingual, grew up, speaking English. So the transition was still a big culture shock moving to
Mhm.
the US when I was
Mhm.
about 12 years old. Big, proud Latina in the community.
Oh, yeah.
I went to high school here in town, and then I went off to college. And my first job outside of college was a news reporter. So I was in broadcasting. I started out my career there. I should say my degree is in communications,
Mhm.
media studies. And so it was a great way you talk about being a communications expert. I mean, you're in the spotlight,
Yeah.
communicating with the community, communicating with folks, getting them the information they need, breaking news, all the things.
Mhm.
And then I transitioned after that, my time in news, like many reporters and anchors, transitioned into marketing communications. And I've now been working in that field for about 20 years, doing all sorts of aspects of marketing, public relations, social media, strategy for clients. A lot of the folks that I've worked with are nonprofit, education, government. We do some hospitality, some fun stuff, but really the bulk of it has been education, government, and community. And then that's just my day job.
Yeah.
What I do my spare time is I sit on a ton of different community boards, different boards. I mean, Habitat for Humanity is one
Mhm.
of them. I'm a member of the Southern Nevada Arts Coalition Board. I also sit on the Public Education Foundation, Hispanic and Latino Legacy Committee, where we raise funds for scholarship for Latino students who are first gen. Yeah, and so I like to be involved in the community and, networking and I guess communicating with a lot of different people.
I love it. I love it. There's a long list of folks that Allison mentioned. Also, a few people you didn't mention that I'm sure we'll get into. So, shout out to Boys and Girls Club, as well as Fulfillment Fund Las Vegas. Those are some of my old stomping grounds. So, you're everywhere. So, again, we thank you for what you do in the community. And I want to start here. Many people don't immediately connect communication and financial success. But throughout your career, you've seen firsthand how like communication can just open up a lot of doors for you. So my first question for you is, why is communication such an important life skill?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I at UNLV, one of the courses that you can take is business communication, and it might not seem that important, but communication is so essential with the way that people work. Even after COVID, right? A lot of things have moved into a virtual setting.
Hmm.
We found a way to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do work in an island. So that really doesn't happen. You have to, even if, again, if you work for a team of 20 or a team of 200, you're still communicating with each other
Yep.
across industries.
Hmm.
So at UNLV, and I say this, I was an adjunct at UNLV for a while, and so I was lucky enough to teach and work with students directly. And so we teach them how to learn different personalities, how to navigate the work environment, even if it's through Zoom, right? Eventually, you're going to start at an entry level,
Yeah.
but then you're going to work your way up to a coordinator and then a manager and a director and then maybe a VP,
Yeah.
right? And so the higher the salary and the higher the responsibility, it's the more work that you do, and then the bigger the teams.
Yeah.
So you really got to be able to communicate with the teams to make sure that the work gets done and smoothly. And so communication is just essential. Again, we just want to be able to work with personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's different.
Hmm.
And it really also talks to about the culture of whatever organization that you're working with or you're working for. The culture is huge, of just like how you manage your team
Hmm.
to execute what you have to do.
Yeah. No, I love that. And, just having multiple jobs throughout my career, communication and culture were probably the number one and two areas of a great organization or an organization that maybe struggles when it comes to communication and culture. Silver State Schools Credit Union, no problem. Great culture here. And we have some amazing communicators here. Uh, Follow-up question though, because we know this, or maybe these are things that people should know, why do you think that some people don't prioritize effective communication, right? Like you said, everybody's always talking, whether it's nonverbal or verbal, but it's 2026. Like most people should, maybe this is common knowledge, but why do you feel some people struggle with prioritizing effective communication?
So effective communication, I would say, ties directly to some tough conversations.
Hmm.
And just sometimes we don't want to have tough
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah.
They need to be had, but it's really hard to do that.
Hmm.
And I think, again, it goes back to each other's personalities and management styles, right? Like when you, let's say you're an employee and you're having a conversation with your boss, like at one point you're going to go to that boss and say, hey, I think I need a raise.
Yeah.
But I want to show you what I've done. I'm coming armed with some
Sure.
resources and like this is, my performance and
Hmm.
I've been a good employee and I show up on time, whatever it is, right? But that's a super hard conversation to
Oh, yeah.
have. Um, on the opposite side, that boss might be in a position where I think I'm ready to let you go. I don't think you're a culture fit anymore. I don't think
Yeah.
that you're performing, you're showing up late, whatever that is. So the other
Hmm.
side of the coin, right? So both sides are really hard conversations to have. So I think people avoid it.
Hmm.
And people just don't want to do it. They don't want to have those hard conversations. And then so we live in the sweep it under the rug, if you will, right? When you're like, you could lead a team that you're like, everything's fine.
Hmm.
Have you seen that meme where it's like the dog and everything's on fire and you're like, everything's fine. And the dog's like, everything's fine, right? But like the house is on fire. Like the vibe and the team, like it could be broken
Hmm.
and that really affects morale.
Yeah. Yeah.
That really affects morale and the way the team works. And people don't want to go to the happy hour after work because I don't want to socialize.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to socialize, I'm just here to get a paycheck,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, and that's good. And I feel, as we're talking about finances and getting our things together, that is an adult conversation. Many of the episodes we cover, we're talking about those conversations that people don't want to have. I myself, like I talk all the time about who I was, prior to meeting my wife. Like I didn't want to have any type of conversations about money. I didn't think it was anybody's business, let alone my own, like because I had to look in the mirror and get right. I had to look in the mirror and say, I don't know what I'm doing as a grown man financially. Same thing kind of comes to that effective communication. We always say here on the podcast, we're human. Like you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make some money mistakes and you're going to make some communication mistakes, as we're hearing from you. And one of the things I want to say here is when you think about opportunities in life, Most people think that they're going to come through jobs, right? They're going to come through this position. You talked about kind of moving up the ladder, if you will. That stuff is cool, but usually they don't really come through a position, but they come through a person, right? This communication thing. So if you learn how to communicate with someone, you know, you might be able to move faster than the person that's just here for a paycheck, or the person that is just like, you know what? All I care about is the money. If you have that purpose, if you can see that person and work with them, that culture piece that we talked about, that's kind of where the magic happens. That's where you maybe find that sweet spot and learn that, if I just like people genuinely and know how to talk to them, I might get exactly where I want to go.
I love that. I mean, you talked about, your wife and having important conversations that sometimes are tough to have, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, so and so is my work wife," or
Sure.
"So and so is
Sure.
my work husband,"
Yeah.
because it's all about relationships.
Mhm.
Like it's a different type of relationship in the workplace
Yep.
versus your personal life,
Mhm.
but nonetheless, it's still a relationship. And then
Yes.
relationships is how you're gonna a lot of the times get to that next level. It's who you
Mhm.
know,
Yep.
right? Like your resume can look super sharp and amazing, but it's really who you know
Yeah.
that might be able to open that door to get you to that next level.
Yes.
And that's across the board.
Oh yeah. No, you have to have those relationships. You have to understand, an element of any great relationship is trust, right? And you have to understand that you got to know that person. You have to be willing to work with that person. Trust is going to be a foundational block with that relationship. And that comes with communication, right? The more you talk, the more you speak, the more you spend time with someone and really get to know them, you gain that trust. And that's kind of the same thing that we want to stress here when it comes with your money. The more money conversations, the more money talks that you're having with yourself, with your spouse, partner, within your family, it will gain trust and you will get better and better at it. Buying a home is a big financial decision, and at Silver State Schools Credit Union, we're here to help make the numbers work. For a limited time, members can get $500 off closing costs, plus flexible loan options, personalized support, and guidance from application to closing. The right home is out there. We'll help you finance it. Learn more at silverstatecu.com/low rates. All right, so let's start talking about reputation and personal branding. As a personal branding expert, I know what personal branding is, right? But there may be a lot of folks out there where you've heard it, but you really don't know if it applies to you. Maybe it's just an Instagram or social media thing, right? But I know it can sound complicated, and I want us to walk through this. So, Allison, how would you define personal branding?
So I think one simple way to think about that is what do you want people to know you for? And also, what do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room?
Sure, that's good.
When you're not there. So I think that leaves and really says a lot about who you are as a person, who you are as a brand. But I mean, there's a lot of conversations I think right now, especially around social media, about authenticity,
Mhm.
right? Like the most authentic content, it's what's going to connect with
Yep.
your audience.
Yep.
Also, knowing your audience, I think that people don't talk enough about audience. But if you're selling T-shirts, like what is your audience?
Yeah.
Like, is it T-shirts for kids? Is it more female oriented? Is it more male
Mhm.
oriented? So know your audience. And that really, I think, it's one of the things that will help you build that brand. But it really is about trying to be authentic, and who you are will really translate to that platform.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. Social media, we talk about it at times on the pod, and, especially to the students that we teach in class, everybody's on social media. Everybody, for the most part, wants to be an influencer doing something. And, you know, I'm always thinking about what you said, like how can you be authentic, on social media? I think it may be easier for us adults to do that, right? We kind of know ourselves. We have that confidence. We're not trying to stun on the gram for anybody. Like we're very comfortable of who we are. But to the young person that may be just getting started, maybe see like a lot of their friends, kind of blow up on social media, maybe something went viral, but they don't have their thing just yet. What mistakes do you see like kind of those young folks start to do where maybe their authenticity doesn't shine through like it should be?
Yeah, I mean, social media is really tough, especially as a younger person. Like you're going to try to keep up. Um, I definitely would say uh, everything that you see on social media isn't real necessarily. I mean, we have several examples now of, gosh, even the like, I think of the really stark and almost dark ones where there's been people who have like faked having cancer
Sure.
and they start movements
Yeah.
and then you're like, what? And then all of a sudden that person didn't have it,
Yeah.
and you're like, this is crazy, right?
Mhm.
So people start following them, or all of these, there's some Netflix documentaries out there with the Utah moms,
Yeah.
and then they were not nice to the kids with them,
Mhm.
there's so much chaos.
Yeah.
So I think that staying true to yourself, first and foremost,
Mhm.
don't try to be somebody you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're going to be able to tell,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Social media is, again, so quick too. So don't overthink it. Like if you are trying to be an influencer or start, let's say you're an artist or you're a musician and you're starting, right? Like just back to how Justin Bieber was discovered. I mean,
Yeah.
he literally was playing guitar, I think, in his bedroom, and he was discovered on YouTube or something, right? And those things are still happening.
Yeah.
But if you know your craft and you're like, I love what you're doing and you're passionate, I think that that will translate through the screen. We're always looking for those spontaneous moments. I remember
Mhm.
working in TV, like you're looking for that spontaneous thing,
Yeah.
right? We don't want it to look staged. We
Sure.
want it to, and I think social media is a lot about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an opportunity to be real with people, and it will grow. Now, I will say, and you probably have heard of Steve Bartlett, who's the Diary of a CEO guy. He has a podcast. And he will tell you, he his podcast didn't even pick up after 3 years in. Like, he was like, "For 3 years, nobody was listening to me."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it just hit one day, and now he's like, has a platform, has a brand, it's
Yep.
grown.
Yep.
So it takes time.
Oh yeah.
You kinda have to be consistent. I know that people sometimes think that they're an overnight success. Like, sometimes it doesn't work quite like that. You've been working at it, and it's something that you have to build.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And I love the consistency point, especially with social media, with marketing. I know you're an expert where, the first few times you see something, you hear something, you kind of like, keep scrolling, go past it. But, maybe that sixth, that seventh time where it's like, you know, yeah, now I'm in. Now I'm locked in. Now I'm gonna buy into it. So to the young folks and to anyone out there when it comes to social media, uh, it takes time. Give yourself some grace, right? This thing isn't going to happen overnight. Even those viral sensations, that probably wasn't the first time Justin Bieber posted, on YouTube playing his guitar. Maybe been the first time you saw him, but it does take time. So I say, get your shots up, right? You're going to continue to have to shoot and understand and discover kind of that voice. So you kind of need credibility uh more than visibility, so to speak, right? It's not about being seen, just for likes and comments. You want to make sure that you can be that credible voice. You want to make sure that you have something to say that people can actually believe in, that personal brand that you speak of. That's what we really want you to discover, whether you're a teenager just getting started or you're a single mom, who wants to, start her own art gallery. It's kind of that same process. So we, encourage you to, get going, get your shots up, and truly find like your personal voice.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say for influencers, young or old, one of the things that we see is being consistent, but also sticking to one topic, right?
That's
So
good.
if you're thinking about planning, like, okay, what am I going to do my podcast on about or whatever, right? Um, if you have three different things, try to narrow that down to one,
Yeah.
because then people will be like, I'm coming to find out how to use Claude, and so and you can do tips or tricks about how to use Claude. And then people are going to come to YouTube for that specific content. So they're likely going to find you when there's the content is more niche.
Yep.
Because that's exactly, they're coming to YouTube, they're coming to Instagram to look for one thing, you know? Like if you're going to be a nail lady, cosmetology, that's your platform. Your thing is the hottest trends in nails. That's, you know what I mean? But that's when I'm going to look for you, I'm going to find you. And then you start to grow.
Yeah, no, and I've seen that just with my wife. One of her goals this year was to be, essentially visible on social media. Has social media just like everybody else and their mama, but doesn't necessarily use it, But she was like, I want people to see me, know me, who I am. And I said, well, hey, you got to start posting, you got to get your shots up. And, we worked with her, and literally what you said, I shared with her was like, try to focus on just kind of that one thing. We can figure out all the other talents that you have. But like, if you start posting, her baking, people on the podcast kind of know her to be this baker extraordinaire, which she is, bakes cookies, cinnamon rolls, cakes, all the things, banana pudding, all that stuff. But she started posting those videos, and a lot of people really liked them, and not just her friends, there's just random folks of like, man, I want the recipe. She got a lot of likes, and every time she posts one of those videos, people love it. They know that Tiff can get down in the kitchen. She knows how to bake, and Dre's going to test it at the end of it, So it's one of those things that everything that you said, like, I've witnessed with my wife.
I love that. Yeah. The more authentic content, and the one that honestly gets the most likes, sometimes it's just you, just us, just,
Yeah.
a selfie. I mean, like, people love that. It is so crazy to me that like we spend all this time like doing stuff on Canva and designing and, putting all the bells and whistles. And then you post a selfie of yourself, and then that had more likes than anything else. Just the way it is.
Yeah. It is what it is. So again, message to all of us, be you. I know you may be in that discovering process of trying to figure out who are you, but the more you spend time with yourself, the more that you trust yourself. And like Allison is saying, you don't have to have the perfect song or the perfect text or all that other stuff that goes, just post you. And a lot of times people will see the real you in it. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all they want to see. Real quick, if you're listening to this and thinking, students need to hear this, we got you. At Silver State Schools Credit Union, we offer free K-12 financial literacy workshops and hands-on experiences that help students understand money in real life. Tap in with us online or inside the branch and bring it to your school. All right, let's get back into the episode. So, Allison, I know we talked a lot about social media, a lot about using your voice. Let's talk to the students or those young professionals that we kind of been talking about today. What is something you haven't said that you would tell them about using their voice?
Well, networking is very powerful. You have to advocate for yourself. No one is going to advocate for you like you will. So no one will, you gotta toot your own horn.
Yeah.
With younger students too. Okay, so I will take you back to like back in my day, when I was applying for jobs to be a broadcaster, to be on TV. There's a lot of competition.
Sure.
And so we would put together a DVD of your reel, right, of your resume. And so you're on TV and you're and we'd I sent out hundreds of those just to try to get a job. Now it's so much easier because everybody has a website.
Yeah.
So when I talk to students, I always say, well, do you have a website? Do you have a portfolio?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Okay, well, we got to get that going.
Yep.
And right now, there's so many places where you can build a website for free, right? There's like Google Sites, you can do website for free. And if you had a little bit to spend, you could get a very inexpensive website, get that domain, get it powered on. And it doesn't have to be super elaborate.
Sure.
But I would put that there, like everything that you've done, right? If you have a podcast, put it on there. If you have a TikTok channel, put it on there. If you've done an internship, put it on there. Especially now in our schools, these kids have access and they start video editing and they start doing all of that in like middle school.
Yeah.
Like it's so young, which is great because they're digital natives. So they can have access to those tools and technologies much earlier.
Yeah.
So be comfortable with putting yourself out there, right? And also have somebody that you trust in your circle give you feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to send that website out to somebody.
Yeah.
To say, okay, can you take a look at my website? Does it look good? Like, what should I do? Right? And so just have somebody like a mentor.
Yep.
Or a couple of mentors
Yeah.
in your board of directors, your close circle that you trust, right? And I know your mom is always going to tell you that it looks good. Okay, we know that. So maybe not your mom, although it'd be nice to have mom's input. No, right? It's fine.
Yeah.
But someone who maybe is in that industry, maybe an industry that you want to go into. Like if you want to be a financial professional, have a financial professional take a look at your resume or your website or whatever, just get feedback. Feedback is good.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love all the things that you shared with us. It puts me in the mind of, when I was younger, back in my day, same thing. I remember, wow, we're talking instant messenger, when I was in school, a lot of things that, it's been upgraded now. I remember having, a website, but having to have a webmaster and all these people put it together. Well, now, I can essentially build my own website and the domain. I love that comment. Like I've had my name for all, full name and then nickname and all that stuff just to have it, even if I don't have a website that points to full name, but I still have that domain because, it's like an IP. You want to be in control of your story, your narrative. And I love the feedback comment. I really wanted to say something about that. One of my best friends is kind of on my board of directors. He is the friend that, straight no chaser. You know what I mean? Like he is going to always say what I may not want to hear, but it's the thing that I need to hear, especially if I'm not coming off the way that he knows me. Back in the day when I kind of first got onto the scene of, podcasting, interviews, that kind of thing, for whatever reason, and I know you know this, when that camera comes on, a lot of people change. They're like different, it's almost like stage fright. They are not the same person to where if we literally turn off the camera, they're cool, they're chill, they're more relaxed. But as soon as they see that red dot, they see a teleprompter, like, they feel that they need a reporter voice or they feel that they need to just be different. That was me because I didn't really have the media training or get comfortable. All the stuff that we're talking about, I didn't do any of that. Like, some newfound fame happened and then I just kind of had to be me, but I didn't know how to do that. So my one friend, Karen, shout out to you. He was someone that was just like, bro, like, who is this? Like, I you got to stop doing this. I don't know why you said it like that. And beforehand, like, I had no one in my corner, board of directors, talk to me like that. It was like, yo, Dre, you're awesome. You're doing this. You're doing that. But he was the one that said, like, I want to see, you, and I'm not seeing that through what I've seen. So I've had to like study some things and watch some things to say, I never knew I did that when I talk to people or, why, I never knew, when I blink for whatever reason, it seems like I'm sleeping, but I guess I'm a slow blinker. You know what I mean? So I have to like, make it a point where my eyes, stay open longer than I guess they're naturally.
I love this.
But that was one of the things that like, if I did not look myself in the mirror, I would have never known that, about myself. So point is for all of us is that all those things that you are sharing, very super important. Feedback. I know that's kind of a bad word and most people do not like that, but it's really good for you. So if you have someone in your corner who can keep it 100 with you, you may not like it, but it can help you be the person you want to become and you find the voice that has always been there.
I love that. And yes, everybody, you still need a website in this day and age. Because I know a lot of people will come to us and they're like, do I need a website? I mean, I've got an Instagram or I'm blowing up on TikTok. And Yes, you need a website. I mean, your
Yes.
website will keep you honest. Like your website is your home
Yeah.
base.
Yep.
It's where you want to, is where if something ever goes wrong, you can be like, go to our
Yeah.
website and find out the right information. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's where it keeps you. And if you're
Mhm.
selling anything, whether you're selling a cameo or whether you're selling something, I mean, yes, you can buy stuff on Instagram now,
Sure.
but really you want to have people go to the website, have a platform,
Yep.
do a Stripe, link it to your bank account. Like, I
Yep.
mean, there's just a legit space,
Yeah.
right? It's probably easier than being hacked somewhere or something. I mean,
Yeah. No, I'm in total agreement of that. So, homework assignment for all y'all. If you do not have a personal website, probably need to get one. You may not even be selling anything merchandise wise. That's okay. You are a whole person, a human being. You probably should have some type of website so people can at least know who you are. All right, Allison. We're gonna come to the segment that we call Seeds of Wisdom. So this is kind of our final segment, and we're gonna close it out this way. So I know you've been kicking some knowledge, some games, free gems for folks, but maybe there's just one piece of wisdom that you'd give someone who wants to grow personally, professionally, and financially. So what's that one piece of wisdom you can share with that person?
probably your network is your net worth. I know it's been used. I'm not the first one to say it. But yeah, your network is your net worth. I mean, in Vegas, I mean, especially in Vegas, like Vegas is such a small town.
It is.
So I talked about how been working in this industry for about 20 years. And then in 2024, I decided that it was my time and it was time to hang my own shingle. So I opened up my own business, which is Cordova Creative, right? And it's our marketing agency that I run. But that net worth thing was proven right when I opened up and I went off on my own. Immediately, I called. I was on the phone right away, just calling people, friends, former colleagues, and being like, hey, I think I'm going to do this. Do you think it's going to work? And people were like, oh my gosh, absolutely, it's going to work. And then once the word starts getting out, and then once you start doing the work with clients, then clients are happy, then you get referrals, So it's really relationships and it's who you know, again, because those people will then send you leads. Those people will be like, somebody's like, hey, I need somebody to do help with social media, or hey, I need some. You could be, again, an artist, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I literally just somebody on that I know just reached out to me and said they're looking for a mosaic artist. And then she's like, do you know somebody? And I said, well, I don't know anybody, but I'm on the board for Southern Nevada Arts Coalition. So I said, well, let me reach out to that network and see. Immediately, we got like 4 mosaic artists.
Nice.
And so I emailed them to her and she was like, oh my gosh, thank you. So right away. But so a referral is going to come from, you just never know where it's going to come from. So at first, it's hard to figure out because your time is money and we all don't have that much time.
Sure.
So you want to be everywhere, right? But then as you start to get into it, you also want to be strategic. Like, let's say you want to work in healthcare. Well, start showing out to the healthcare organization, So you don't have to show up to everything, but show up to the healthcare ones or start making relationships there. But I think, again, forging those relationships and getting those referrals and getting other folks to talk about you and building a resume, like a people resume.
Yeah.
Right. So your resume, of course, is your piece of paper where you have all of your accolades. But then it's amazing to have a referral from someone or someone else say, hey, you know what? I worked with JimDre and he's pretty awesome. I highly recommend JimDre.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you want people to say that about you.
Yep.
And this town is very small.
It is. Yes.
This town is very small. Everybody knows each other. So if you're going to stay in Vegas, just know this town is very small. So you don't want to burn bridges, right? It's just a real thing. You don't want to burn bridges with anybody. You want to be, you want good karma, like Taylor Swift says, right? So that's where you want to be. Network and stay true to yourself and keep your relationships in a good place.
I love it. I love it. What I'm hearing, everything that you say as we kind of wrap this thing up is, your voice, like who you truly are, it's part of your value. And It's all about, the way that you communicate, the way that you treat people, the way that you build trust, the way that you show up consistently. All of that stuff matters because opportunities, they often grow through relationships, as Allison just made that point, especially here in Vegas. You really want to make sure that you focus on your relationships because the relationships grow through trust and that trust goes through communication. So again, all of these things are connected. Who you are, who you know, and who you want to work with, who you want to surround yourself around. That's in all areas of life. So please, if you do not know who you are, it's all good. Like, right? We know that time is short, but you still have time. If you're breathing, you still have time to kind of find that voice. You still have time to kind of figure this thing out. And again, we had someone who I know she helped me, you know what I mean? So hopefully you were watching and listening to everything that we talked about. Because at the end of the day, we want you to keep learning, keep connecting, and keep showing up as your authentic self. All right, Allison. Again, I appreciate who you are as a person, as a communicator, for all the things that you do in Las Vegas. Thank you for taking that leap of faith and trusting yourself when it comes to being an entrepreneur, a boss lady, a CEO. And thank you again for blessing us today. We got better today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. All right, y'all. You already know this is another episode. We really appreciate you tuning in today. For those who are listening or maybe watching, we want you to like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast. We really appreciate you being a part of the Financial Seeds podcast family. For those on social media, we talked a lot about social media today. So please follow us on all our social media accounts and share this with someone who needs to find their voice. Maybe it is a family member, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's your parents, like whoever it is, especially if it is your children, you can share this episode with them to let them know there's still time to figure out who they want to be and make sure that their voice matters. For myself, JimDre, this is Allison. Again, we appreciate y'all. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, keep planting those seeds. Peace.
The Financial Seeds podcast is powered by Silver State Schools Credit Union, hosted by JimDre Westbrook, co-hosted by Brianna Chavez, produced by Jackie Martin, and recorded in the Scott A. Arkhills production studio. The Financial Seeds podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as financial, legal, or tax advice. All opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Silver State Schools Credit Union. Listeners should consult with a qualified financial professional for advice specific to their individual situation.